Welcome back to the Body Composition Coach podcast. This is Jono speaking to you as always. And you know what? It's good to be back with another episode. Another hard-hitting episode, actually, because a few of my last podcasts have been hard-hitting. Maybe more because they've been a bit more straight talking, a little bit more honest, but trying to tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear, or based on my experiences anyway. Now, this one's going to be very, very similar. Not for the same reasons though, because ultimately this is going to hit maybe some people will find this a little bit triggering. Maybe you'll find it hits a nerve with you. Maybe it's going to hit a nerve that you didn't even realize you had, and suddenly everything kind of starts to make sense. But the reason that I've been really looking forward to doing this one is because it's gonna really resonate with the women that I work with already. So they're probably listening to this, so hopefully this will resonate with them, but also resonate with the type of woman that I normally work with too. So hopefully if you listen to this, you'll start to understand a little bit more about why I do what I do and why I have the approach that I have. Now, before I do that, as always, drop me a like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, let me know your thoughts, drop me a comment, even just a quick 5-star review, just to show me that you appreciate the message or that you enjoy the message in some way, goes a really, really long way to me getting this podcast out to those who need it or those who want it. So look, let's get into it. Let's get into the dirty little secret. That's what I'm going to call this. So the dirty little secret. This is a conversation that I have every week with women who are joining my program or asking me for coaching. And we almost sit there and we go through their goals. What is it you're trying to achieve? Where are you trying to get to? Like, what have you been trying to get there? And usually after a little bit of time, it's almost apologetic in that, generally I work with women who are in their 30s, 40s and 50s. And they're almost apologetic about the actual goal that they have. And the actual goal, more often than not, is an aesthetic-based goal. I actually just want to look like I train. I actually just want to feel sexy in my own skin again. I actually just want to look great naked. I want my husband or my partner to fancy me because, they're attracted to me, or it's not even about them. It's that I feel attractive in my own skin. I want to stand in front of a camera when I'm on holiday in my bikini and just think, wow, like I feel amazing, I look amazing. And ultimately the point I'm getting at is they want to do this and they want to train with me and they want to work with me simply because they want to look good. They do it for aesthetics. And look, I'll go into the reasons why maybe they feel that they can't talk about this in a moment, but ultimately they feel like they shouldn't. They're almost apologetic about the fact that they care about how they look, or they care about their aesthetics, or they care about whether they feel sexy or not. They're almost apologetic about it. And listen, we're talking about mothers, we're talking about grandmothers, we're talking about women who are high flyers in their corporate world or in their job. They're business owners. So they know that there is so much more to their life that has value, that they care about, that the people they care about. But still, there is like this niggling feeling within them of, I don't look how I want to look. I don't feel sexy right now. I don't feel like I look like I train. But there's almost this sigh and this resentment for the fact that they care about it so much, because it's almost like it's been ingrained within them that they should care way more about what their body can do, or they should care way more about their health and protecting themselves against osteoporosis in the future as they age. And listen, I'm not going to discredit any of those things in this podcast. Let me be clear about that. But I am going to remove this idea over the next few minutes that you should not train for aesthetics, because if that is what drives you, if that is what gets you out of bed in the morning to go and do the things you need to do, then so be it. I'm going to back you every single step of the way. I have no issue whatsoever with anyone coming to me and telling me, do you know what, Jono? I don't really care about the health stuff. I don't really care about being able to do a high rocks or a half Ironman or lift my body weight in deadlifts or do pull-ups. I don't care about that stuff. I care about At the end of this process, I look like I train. I feel sexy in my own skin again. I feel confident taking photos of myself again. That is what I'm gonna tell you that that is okay today, and I will always back anybody who has that goal. Now, look, like I've said, it's a brilliant reason to train. Training for aesthetics. No matter what people say to you, training for aesthetics is a brilliant reason to train, even if that is your only reason for doing it, right? And the reason I say that is not because you're not going to get healthier, you're not going to protect yourself into older age, you're not going to make yourself way more capable, your energy levels aren't going to improve. Because actually, do you know what? That stuff comes as a byproduct anyway. Like if you train properly for aesthetics, you're going to be, and I'll get into this again in a little bit, but you're going to be strength training. You're going to be improving your cardiovascular. You're going to be improving your muscle mass. Like you're going to be doing all these things that as a byproduct, you are going to get healthier anyway. Now, I'm not saying that getting skinny or losing fat instantly leads to better health. So don't mix my words up here, because there is obviously, a line to be drawn. But what I am saying is if you're doing this properly and you're strength training, you're fueling properly, you're improving your cardiovascular health, if you're doing everything as you should, there is no downside to that. You are only going to be healthier, you're only going to be stronger, you're only going to be more capable, and you know what? You look fucking brilliant as well. So, look, I think there's a few layers to this, and I want to kind of peel it back one by one. But I think why this comes around and why this shows itself. And you tell me in the comments if you kind of agree with me, if you have a different reason for this. But if this resonates with you, please let me know, because I think there's like layer one is almost the old vanity judgment thing. And you're almost scared to say that that's why you want to train, because you feel like people will maybe judge you for it. Like, oh, so vain, you just want to look good all the time. You're a mum, you should care way more about, your kids seeing you exercise and that sort of thing, rather than looking good. Let me tell you, you don't have to choose one or the other. Let me tell you that, right? You can care about your kids seeing you as a capable, strong woman who trains and runs a business and works all the time and looks after her family. You can do all of it, right? You don't have to hide the fact you want to look good because there's other reasons to train too. You can have more than one reason. So I think layer one is almost that fear of judgment. I don't want people to think that all I care about is how I look, even though I really care about how I look. And layer two, I think, actually is the main one, and this underpins everything. I think the industry has overcorrected itself. So I've been coaching for 17 years. So I've seen all the trends over, getting on for close to 20 years, which is a crazy thought. And there was this time where everyone did just train to get skinny and lose weight and, try and look like a supermodel. And that was all people did. And potentially not even potentially, the industry just found itself in a pretty toxic place, maybe 15 years ago, something like that. Now, what's kind of happened since then, and for in a positive way, in a good way, the industry started to swing. So it was kind of over here near vanity being the only reason, skinny is better, lose weight, don't lift too heavy because you're going to gain muscles and that kind of thing. And what's happened is it swung and it became more neutral. And we probably started to get towards the sweet spot of, okay, cool. Some people are still training because they want to look good. Some people are training because actually we've started to realize getting strong is important, for one, health benefits, but two, building muscle and protecting against osteoporosis and all of that kind of stuff. And then we've kind of swung past it and we've missed, right? We've come out the other side and we've probably swung a little bit too far then at that point. And now I feel like we're almost at this point where training for aesthetics to look good and feel good and be confident is almost looked upon as a negative thing. Like you shouldn't do that. You should not train to look good. You should never try and train to feel good in your own skin and feel sexy again. And we've swung past it. And somehow, and look, I'm not going to be able to change an industry in this podcast unless you give it a good 5-star review. Maybe more people will see it. Hey, but we've almost got to come back to this center point. We've gone from skinny in this toxic kind of environment past the center point to now you should only train to be capable. You should only train to protect yourself into older age and see what your body can really do. I I'm somewhere in the middle. I kind of agree with both approaches, but I disagree. And I'd like to bring us kind of back to the center point. It's okay to train for aesthetics. It's okay to train to feel sexy, look good, feel good. But also, how about we layer on top of that some like performance stuff? So you feel the benefits of having better cardiovascular health and having better strength and being more full of energy and your mood improving and all of this stuff. Like, look, we can do that too. Like, that would be great. But I'm really passionate about like and mainly because I've seen it, right? I've seen it many times. I've seen the radiance that people give off when like their arms just look a little bit toned how they want them to look, and they feel a bit more confident in how their legs look and feel, and they're starting to get a little bit definition in their shoulders, and that makes them feel really good about themselves. And it shouldn't be the only, well, say it shouldn't. If that's the only reason you want to train, then don't let anyone tell you that that is not a valid reason to train. I will tell you right now that is a valid reason to train. But even if you don't care about the other stuff, it's going to come as a health benefit anyway. It's going to come as an added extra anyway. So I don't see any harm, as long as we are approaching it from a healthy point of view, in you training for aesthetics. And I suppose the third layer is just to say that mostly this stuff is internalized. Mostly it's almost you against yourself, in that you feel guilty for wanting that stuff, because you know you have other responsibilities and other things that maybe should matter to you more. I say should in kind of quotation marks, because if they don't, they don't. Whatever drives you, right? And they can be byproducts of your main goal, and your main goal can be aesthetics. So look, if the most honest, and I think honest is the most appropriate word here. If the most honest motivation for you getting off the sofa and doing the thing is aesthetics, then that is your most powerful motivation. And if you're tapping into your most powerful motivation, you are way more likely to be successful. You are way more likely to move forward. You are way more likely to be consistent with it, because you are tapping into your most powerful motivation. If you're trying to convince yourself that you're doing it because you care about something else more, you're likely to fall short. You're likely to just fall short, right? And if what you want is to walk into a room differently, you want to walk in with confidence, you want to walk in radiating and glowing, and that is the thing that you care about, it leaks into everything else. Everything else soaks that up, right? Your work, how you show up for your family, how you show up for your partner. Your sex life is going to massively improve, your relationships in general. If you find yourself in a position where you're confident, sexy, radiating, glowing, I can't see how there are negative effects in your other areas of life. It is, look, listen, it's life-changing. It can be life-changing if you transform your body, grow muscle, lose body fat, and it is completely valid. So look, I've got tons of examples I could use here of clients who have done this. But listen, the most powerful thing is that those clients will be listening to this, and they'll hear this, and they'll be thinking, do you know what? Like, you're right. Like, this has changed my life. Working with John O, I've been able to, improve my confidence, feel like I look like I train. And that's had a knock-on effect in every other area of life. So look, I think this matters more because I've trained different age groups of women over the years, and I think now working with those women who are in their late 30s and their 40s, I think it probably matters more in that stage of life, or it matters equally as much. And the reason I say that is because I think a lot of women, when they get to that age, and again, this is just experience working with those women, is they almost start to write themselves off. Like, well, it was inevitable, it's inevitable that I'm gonna, deteriorate in whatever way you wanna talk about. And that's probably a subject I'm really passionate about, because I actually hate having that conversation. I hate having that conversation with the women I work with. And I hope over the time that I work with them that we can change their feeling on that, because going into your 40s and 50s and into menopause, perimenopause, and then menopause, almost with this almost with this acceptance or this inevitability that you can't feel confident anymore, and you can't, be sexy anymore, and you can't, be fancied by your partner just as much as you did when you first met them. Whatever your circumstance is, like, I think to go into that part of life with that inevitability, I'm passionate about changing that. Like, genuinely passionate about changing that, because I suppose it comes from seeing it, and I've seen so many women reverse that and go into their 40s feeling sexier and more powerful and more confident than they ever were in their 20s and 30s. And that's maybe because they never did the work in terms of their training. Maybe they started training later in life. And I think the lesson there is absolutely that it's never too late to start. It's never too late to decide, you know what, like, I'm taking back control of how I feel about myself. It's like personal responsibility, in that you take personal responsibility for the aging process. You take personal responsibility for how you feel about yourself and how you feel about the way you look. And listen, you can stand and you can shout affirmations in a mirror over and over and over again to give yourself like body confidence, because you're convincing yourself that you feel amazing and you're sexy at any size and any shape and anything like that. And I'm not passing judgment on that, by the way. Like, I love, if you are, whatever size you are, whatever shape you are, however you are, I'm not passing judgment on that. You should feel sexy. You should feel confident. You should absolutely own how you feel. But what I'm also not going to do is tell you that if you don't, the worst thing you could do is try and train for it. I'm not going to tell you that. If you want to do something about it, if you want to change the way you feel about yourself, even if you've tried convincing yourself, I should feel sexy how I am, it shouldn't matter. Listen, if it does matter to you, if you do care about it, it's my job here to tell you and validate it. That's okay. You can do something about it. You can take personal responsibility about it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. Nobody is judging you for it either way. Now, I do think it's probably my personal responsibility here, just because of like the size of audience that I speak to, the kind of women that I work with, to just say that there is a way to do this, right? And it's not that just, if you want to be skinny, you do what you want to do, right? If you want to be sexy and confident, yes, I agree with that. But there is a line, and I think I'm going to take some personal responsibility here to make sure that I give the correct message, because I don't want anyone going away from this podcast here and saying, oh, Jono validated, starving yourself to make yourself look and feel better, because I absolutely, that is not the message I'm giving out today. The message I'm giving out is training and fixing your nutrition to feel confident in your own skin again, however that looks. But I will completely advocate that you should do that in a way that is you building strength, you building muscle, you get building the tone underneath the body fat that you have, however small or large that is, you altering your body fat to look how you want to look and being in control of that, but doing it in a way where you're well fueled, you're healthy in both mind and body, you're enjoying the process in some way, you're not kind of obsessing over the scales or every tiny little like part of your body that makes you amazing for who you are. Like, there is absolutely a way to do this and a way to do it properly. And I will always push that message with the women that I work with, and also the women who listen to me and, follow me. And even if you don't work with me, but you follow my work quite a lot, look, my message is really, really, really clear that if you're gonna care about the aesthetics, if you're gonna train for aesthetics, if that's gonna be your main goal, it's valid. But do it in a way that's healthy. Do it in a way that looks after yourself. Do it in a way that protects your body and keeps you healthy into longevity and mentally in a healthy position, right? And if you're unsure about how to do that, I would absolutely encourage you to reach out to a professional. And this isn't me plugging coaching, by the way. You don't need to reach out to me. But if you want to, of course, you can. Give me a message, even if you just want some reassurance, some validity. I'm here for it, right? But just make sure you are protecting yourself. If you are going to train for aesthetics, if that's going to be your main goal, just maybe check in with yourself from time to time. Am I doing this in a way that is healthy, sustainable, and also just protecting me into later life in a way that like I would want my kids to see me or my family to see me doing. So I think it was really important that I get that message across there. And I'll kind of just reiterate my point earlier, which was it's not that you have to do aesthetics or health, right? You can train for aesthetics and really care about that stuff because the health stuff comes as a byproduct. But my point would just be, and this all ties together, my point would just be make sure you are training for aesthetics in a way that also has the byproduct of health improvements, because most of them do. Building muscle, losing some body fat, training hard and getting stronger, you are protecting yourself and you are getting the health benefits as a byproduct most of the time, as long as you are doing it correctly. So how do you do it correctly? How do you train for aesthetics in a way that is protecting you against later life and giving you the health byproducts? Well, look, my opinion in this is that if you have excess body fat to lose, and the women that I work with generally, we would usually start with losing body fat first and going into a fat loss phase first. Why? Well, there's the biggest bang for buck in terms of you are going to see changes to your body much quicker at the start. When we lose body fat, we strip body fat back. And then ultimately, with every woman I work with, I encourage them to do a build phase. Now, when we're going to go into the build phase, I've done other podcasts on this, so I'm not going to go into this in too much depth. But when we pull your body fat back, you're starting from a leaner position. You're starting from a more insulin sensitive position, which is advantageous when we get to the build phase. Then we go into the build phase and you don't instantly just feel bloated and watery and like you've lost all your progress. It takes way longer or a good few more weeks for you to start to feel the effects of being in a build phase, maybe feeling a little bit fluffy, as we call it, until you're going to want to start to think about coming out of that build phase again or feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Now, look, I'll always then encourage you to sit in the discomfort of the build phase, because the longer you can stay there, the better. Fuel yourself properly, push performance, get stronger, build muscle, make sure you're eating enough protein, eating enough calories, and then obviously you can get into the intricacies and some more depth. But if you're doing that stuff, you're giving yourself a good start. And then generally, we've done the fat loss phase, we've worked through the build, we'd come back into a fat loss phase, we'd pull you back and show off the amazing results that you've built in the build phase. And then the most important bit, well, I'd probably say the most important bit is the build to most people. But if I'm honest, the most important bit is probably the maintenance phase at the very end, because we have to make sure that you have established a level of maintenance in like what you can eat and how your food should look and how your activity should look, how your training should look, to maintain what you've done, if not go on to do more. And that's why we have such a big education platform within our coaching program, because it's so important that when we're doing all of this stuff with you, we teach you what's required for you to do this long term on your own. So when you spend 6 months or 12 months with us, I want you to go away thinking, right, this is like, I worked with this guy for 6 months and this was 6 years ago now, and I still know what I should be doing. I still know what my training should look like and my food should look like and how to maintain the amazing results that I've got. So look, let me wrap this up. I've told you how to train for it. I've told you that it's valid, in that if you want to train for aesthetics, don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't. I told you why I think that the industry is taking this swing from like this toxic skinny culture right through to like, actually, if you're training for aesthetics, we're judging you. And I want to pull it back to the middle. It's okay to train for aesthetics. It's okay to train because you want to feel and look different. It's okay that you want to walk into a room and own it. It's okay that you want to feel confident in your bikini when you're on holiday and look and feel and just glow, right? That is okay, and I'm going to validate that until nobody wants to listen to it. And yes, the health benefits and the good stuff in terms of what will protect you into later life will come as a byproduct if you do it right and you take care of yourself along the way. And listen, if you don't know how to do that from what I've done today, if you're like, do you know what, this is really hit a nerve with me, this has really resonated with me, this is why I train and I've been hiding it, I almost felt embarrassed to say it, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want some help in achieving that result that you're aiming for, and you actually, you've kind of found yourself now a coach who understands what it's like to want to change your aesthetics, then drop me a message. Instagram is the best place to get hold of me, Body Composition Coach. Drop me a message. Let me know, Jono, I listened to your podcast. It really resonated with me. I want to change something. I want to do something about it. But look, for now, I'll see you in the next episode. Have a great week.